Welcome back to Withdraw Consent. I'm Jack. Today I want to talk about the Iran war because they're distracting us from Epstein still. Okay. And I want to talk specifically about Hezbollah and what's going on there because it's not being covered very heavily. So if we remember back in, we'll say September 17th, I believe, 2024. Okay. So, October 7th, 2023. This is September 17th, 2024. We had the pager attacks. Do you remember?
Yes.
They blew up all the pagers through the Hungarian company, this and that, blew up some kids, but mostly Hezbollah people. And that got a lot of their leadership,
Okay.
And then 10 days later, they did a bombing campaign, Israel did, in Lebanon, and they killed Nasrallah, who was the leader of Hezbollah.
Okay.
Right? And I'm not, the pager attack, we talked about it before, is completely unethical because your kid's grabbing the pager for you and it's not really targeted. But targeting Nasrallah, I'm not gonna give Israel beef over because they're officially a terrorist group. And whether they say they're freedom fighters or whatever, I don't care. You know what I mean? For Israel, they are terrorists for them. And he's a legitimate military target, even though he was a religious leader, but he's taken the, you know what I'm saying?
The mantle of,
completely different than the Ayatollah, who's a religious leader. And his crime is that he funds proxies, which is Hezbollah, Hamas, Yemen, whatever, but you would have to make the case that he's the one doing it. And he's not just a figurehead, and you know what I mean? Sure. Before you just take his life and his wife's, well, I mean, and his son's wife and his grandkid, just the family, Well, the interesting part of that is that the son is now the leader.
Okay.
Right? He's the new Ayatollah. So the son, his mother, father, wife, and kid have all been killed.
Wow.
And the Ayatollah, the previous Ayatollah, did not want his son to be the new Ayatollah because one, he's too hardline. Okay. And number two, it shouldn't be like monarchy being passed down like that. And so he was against it. Now the dude who's too hardline is the Ayatollah and his family got slaughtered. So that you just imagine it pushes a more hardline.
Yeah.
And so that's what we got. So let's talk about Hezbollah, okay? So what they told us is after the pager attacks and after Nasrallah being killed, as well as multiple bombings they did over there, that Hezbollah was taken out of the fight.
Okay.
So then this newest Operation Epic Fury, which is funny because I call it Epstein Fury, which is pretty funny. You know what I mean? And before even people caught on to that, they were just calling it, some people on the left were just calling it the Epstein War. Okay. Which is, it's kind of a thing, but it's not really, you know what I mean? It's a distraction from Epstein.
Yeah.
It's not because of Epstein or anything like that. So there's some truth to it.
But it's because of the Epstein, everything related to Epstein, that the war is.
In part, right. The subservience to Israel.
Okay.
Right. But that's only part of it because there's the evangelical fanaticism too. You know what I mean? That's completely divorced from the Epstein stuff. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like the Ted Cruz and stuff like that. So they tell us Hezbollah is completely out of it. Then Israel's going to start the war.
Okay.
And so we get into the war, according to Mark Rubio, only because Israel was already attacking them. And we thought we would take less casualties in the counterattack if we go in. So Israel forced us into this war, according to just Mark Rubio, Secretary of State. And Hezbollah didn't get into it, right? So we talked about previously how Iran was targeting the radar stations and stuff like that. And so they did that very effectively. And then more of their missiles kept getting in. And now Hezbollah entered the fray, who we're assured is not a factor.
Of course.
And I mean, okay. So we're going to watch a video real quick. And this is them doing 100 rocket attack in one night.
Them being Hezbollah?
Hezbollah against Israel, okay? And so we're just going to check out this video real quick. Okay, pretty interesting. You can see some of them getting intercepted. About half of them made it in.
Okay.
And so I'm going to link a reference below, okay? And it's going to be to the guy with the blonde hair that we looked at last week, Richard Medhurst.
Yeah, where were they attacking, or what's the location?
So this is northern Israel. So northern Israel is the most populated because in the south you have like the Negev desert and stuff like that. And so it's the most populated portion. Haifa is up there, the coastal city, And so what they're doing is they're attacking very specific targets. So Israel... So in the first reference below, the blonde-haired guy, Richard Medhurst, we watched him last week, right? He's going to do a breakdown of all the targets they're doing. So if you want to watch more specifics, you can click on that link. That'll take you to a YouTube video. But basically, Israel's put up these tall towers just everywhere. and they just got all these sensors on it and stuff, and they're trying to sense, because these are really short range missiles, so you got to detect them
guided
fast.
or not?
Yeah,
they are. Okay.
Yeah, guided. This is not just like Hamas just shooting rockets randomly into a city, and because they're going for very specific targets, they're going for these towers.
Gotcha.
You know, and so, I mean, in the video that I'm linking, I mean, they're just insane stuff. Like they went in their little, you know, they drive around in like little side by sides, you know, kind of something like that, but like Dune buggies, and they went out there and they just found 2 tanks driving down the road, and they have ATGM rockets, you know, that shoot up and then come down. Blew up both tanks. So then they move off and they go to the road. The whole team goes to the road where they're going to come up, because now they're sending in the repair vehicles, because they got to, like the wreckers, they got to tow them out, because you can still fix them or you can cannibalize them. There's still value in those tanks, and they ambush the whole party coming with more tanks and stuff like that. And so what I'm saying is that they've lied to us and said that there's nothing to see here with Hezbollah. And it turns out, and I didn't know whether or not they were telling the truth or not until like, are they going to do good or not? You know? And so
how do we know this is Hezbollah? This is because they're short range? Or?
Well, because they're coming from Lebanon.
Oh,
so they're coming from the north they're coming south to North Israel.
Okay.
And so I mean, what else could it be up there? You know? And so Israel has now turned towards Lebanon, and they're now doing most of their attacking in Lebanon. So we're doing Iran. We're doing Iran, and they're doing Lebanon.
Nice.
So, you know, we could do this front. So that's great.
Yeah.
You know, we're making America great again. And then they start using white phosphorus on the civilian areas of southern Lebanon. And so white phosphorus is it's not like a gas. Right. You know, it's an incendiary. Mm-hmm. And so when you get hit with it, it causes severe deep burns.
Yeah, burns underwater. It's insane stuff.
And if you're just in it long enough, you just die. That's what happens. And so basically, I want to go to a couple articles and just see what's going on. I was surprised that this has actually been happening for a while. Okay, so let's look at this article. This is the second reference below, and it's from Human Rights Watch, which is really official group. You know, they're the ones. And so basically, this is talking about Israel using death toll 394. And so it's not a war crime just to use this, because you could use it for signaling or something like that. You could use it. It's not a war crime to have it. It's not a war crime to use it. Use it on civilians is a war crime. Okay. You know? It's just similar to like anything like napalm or something. Sure. Like napalm is not you can own it, you know? You can kill soldiers with it. You could drop it on the USS Liberty apparently, and the US will do nothing about it. Israel can, you know? But anyway, so 394 people died. And the problem is that they're dropping it on residential civilian areas, which even if there is Hezbollah in the civilian residential areas, which there probably is, because at night they got to go home to sleep. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not like they're in a military camp.
They have barracks or something.
They have barracks, yeah. And so anyways, I mean, you could check this out if you want. Just the main problem is that it's in the civilian areas. Okay. And so then there's this other article I put up here, and you can check this out. This is the third reference below, and this is going to talk about them using it, but they've been using it back in 2024, 2025. They've been doing this, and nobody's been covering it. And so I thought it would be interesting to point out, you know what I mean? Sure. That this is our ally, our best ally, doing this to the civilians. And one of the, I forget who it was, but one of the Israeli politicians said, okay, here's what we need to do to fix the problem with Hezbollah, okay? We need to move everybody out, civilians and everybody from South Lebanon, okay? Then we need to dismantle Hezbollah, and then we need to not let them come back. Ever.
Oh, okay. Oh, just the people themselves?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's it's a definition of ethnic cleansing. Yeah, moving people out of their land, and then just like, what is it going to be? Ours, mine, mine, you know what I mean? And that's not the official policy of Israel, but that's just what they're talking about openly, because they're pretty bold and talk openly. Yep. And so then that's where we're at with that. What do you think of this?
I mean, it doesn't deter my opinion that we're on either the bad guys or on the side of the bad guys.
You know, let's talk about something else that happened recently. So there was this island, I think it was called Kharg Island, okay? It's a little island up there. I'll put a picture of where it's at on the screen so you can see. It's up into the Gulf, you know, close to Iran. And so in this island, what they do is they process, they ship 90 to 95% of the oil that Iran produces, right? And so it's very important, you know. Now this island was bombed during the Iran-Iraq war. Iraq bombed it a lot. So they do have other things that they could do, but this is the most efficient way they have to. And they're still doing tons of oil trade, So they went from 2 million barrels a day to 2.1 million barrels a day. So they've increased during the war. And what they're doing is they control the Strait of Hormuz right now. Well, they don't control it, but they can prevent people from going through it. So the Chinese flagships are just going through. And China has the biggest strategic oil reserve on the planet. Okay. So what happened is Friday after the markets closed, because Trump doesn't want the oil price to go up. So he announced, hey, we bombed this island. We've taken out 90 military targets, but we haven't touched the oil stuff. He's like, for now, I haven't done the war crime of destroying the civilian infrastructure and the civilians working there for now. But if they let ships go through the Strait of Hormuz, we're not going to touch it, which of course they're not going to do. It's just escalation, And so, and then our options there with that are, let me tell you something funny about the shipping too. Okay. So Iran's first position with the shipping was, hey, any flagship can go through as long as you kick out the U.S. ambassador to your country and you kick out the Israeli ambassador to your country and you don't have any American or Israeli military bases there, you can come through. That's all you got to do. Like Thailand. There's no bases in Thailand, to my knowledge,
Okay.
All you got to do is kick out the ambassadors and you can come through. Instead, they just blew up a Thailand oil tanker,
Okay.
Iran did. But so that was their first position. Now their new position since Trump did that is, anybody can go through without kicking out the ambassadors as long as you just trade the oil. You just have to transact the oil in Chinese yuan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's the bad move.
And you're looking and you're like, man, these guys are not messing around.
Right.
They're like a formidable opponent, like with strategies and layers. They're Persians. Mm-hmm. You could have figured this out beforehand. You know what I mean? They're not sand people. You know what I mean? They're just not. They're Persians. Mm-hmm. Founders of, early culture, we'll say. Anyway, so go back to the island. So our options are, because they're going to escalate, chances are, because what else can they do? It's existential for them, the Iranians, And so our choices are, okay, look, we could probably take it easily, right? Look, 2,500 to 6,000 Marines, easy, right? Well, we don't have all the craft for it, but we just parachute them in there or something, and we could just airdrop them supplies and stuff. And then right across is Iran, right? And there's a huge mountain range there, and they could just send the drones down. It'd probably be cool, right? We could probably take the facility. Or we could just blow it up, which is a war crime. In which case, say we don't care because there's no justice. We don't care. Just blow it up. And what if Iran's retaliation is just blowing up the number 1 and number 2 biggest oil facilities in the world, which is right there across the Gulf in Saudi Arabia and in Iraq, within range, and just collapse the world economy? Why not? You know what I mean?
But I'm not saying it's a reasonable, but it's, you blow up mine, I'm gonna blow up yours.
Right.
It's hard to argue with that.
You know what it reminds me of is, you remember the Wrath of Khan, the last scene?
Mm-hmm.
But my grave I spit at you, or whatever he says. He's quoting Shakespeare or something. Yeah. That's what it reminds me of. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to do that.
Yeah.
They're going to click the Wrath of Khan blow up button. Now, of course, that didn't work because, James Kirk, you can't destroy him. But anyways, okay, we're getting off topic here. But so the Kharg Island thing's a disaster.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I don't know who Trump's listening to because destroying those 9, I know. I'm just.
Do they wear a tiny hat?
Is it Jared Kushner? I don't know, but. That's the theory going around. Because remember he said Jared Kushner ran things in the first administration, and then in the second one he's like, oh, he's not going to be involved, but instead he's doing the big real estate deals to get the Trump hotel in Gaza or whatever, whatever they're working on, all these things with the Arabs investing and stuff like that, which they're going to end up losing all the Arab states over this. Mm-hmm. Okay, so look, you know how Iran is under sanctions,
Yeah.
And so you're not allowed to buy their stuff. And so China's just like, whatever, whatever. You know what I mean? And then we don't touch China with sanctions for this. And then it's like, look, India, France, and Italy are independently negotiating directly with Iran for oil right now.
Oh, wow.
Despite U.S. sanctions. They're not talking to Trump to see if they can get Iran oil. They're talking to Iran. So they're looking at it and they're saying, okay, who's winning this? Let's go talk to Iran.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Iran's not losing as well because we're doing these massive bombing campaigns. But okay, here's another funny thing that happened, right? So Pete Hegseth is Department of War. It's a terrible look to change it to Department of War.
Yeah.
Because remember, it used to be Department of War. Then they changed Department of Defense.
Yeah.
And he's like, nah, we'll go back. Okay. So he's doing this speech, right? And he's just fired up, because he's got the infidel tattoo. He really hates the Muslims. He hates them. He would. destroy them if he could off the planet, like as some, I don't know, because that's what Jesus Christ would probably do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Probably, And so anyways, and he's giving this speech in front of the microphone, and he's like, and he's like, we've killed like one tier, we've killed 2-3 tiers of their leadership. They're on their last leg. And you know what they're doing? They're hiding like rats, because that's what rats do. Rats hide. They're hiding like rats. And you're looking at this guy and you're like, oh my gosh, you're such a freaking moron. Because you know what they're doing right now? They're doing a pro-government protest in Tehran right now while you're saying this, or right in the time you're saying this. And do you know who's there? The president and all the leadership are out in the streets, walking in Tehran, in the streets. The people that probably you want to murder, the political leaders and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, not the new Ayatollah, but a lot of the senior leadership is out in the streets. No security. They just got their arms around protesters and they're walking down the streets. Has Hegseth done that? No, he couldn't. He couldn't do that. Trump couldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? And they're doing that. And then there's planes flying over, drones and stuff like that. You see in the background, you see a big bomb explode, and the whole crowd turns and just cheers in solidarity. You know what I mean? These are the people also who are about to revolt.
Right.
They're going to turn on this government
Yeah.
like right now.
It's on the edge. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Do you remember in World War II when Germany was bombing? So it was the third phase of the Battle of Britain, and Germany was bombing just the British cities.
Yeah.
Remember? So the British had bombed the German cities, and Hitler let them bomb them for 100 days, and then he started bombing their cities, And then it was such a thing of solidarity that Americans would fly intentionally to Britain so that they could get bombed and go into bomb shelters with their fellow ancestral, comrades, allies, just so they could go in the bomb shelter and experience it with them, because that's how increasing solidarity the bombing is.
Yeah, 100%.
And then on the other side, you have these videos of like, we'll say like riotous activity happening in the Israeli bomb shelters.
Oh.
Like at first it was like they all just dance down there and they're singing their, Hebrew songs, like cultural songs that they've had for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And they're just all there in solidarity. And now it's like, you're getting 1-2 minute warnings, 90-second warning to get in a bomb shelter. You're running down there. And this is happening frequently because now Hezbollah and
Okay.
Yemen hasn't started yet. Okay. But and they're freaking out. And there's like people just running over each other. They're blocking out people who are not full Jews, just closing them out of the shelters. And it's getting intense.
Wow.
And let's talk Yemen for a second, okay?
Okay.
Because keep in mind, Yemen is the most gung-ho, more gung-ho than Iran on the Palestinian issue.
Oh.
Because Iran will not be fighting and Hezbollah will not be fighting. And Iran will be like, oh, we can't stand this genocide. And they'll start shooting missiles. They'll close down the strait they have. Yemen.
You said Iran.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yemen. I'm in Yemen. And they'll close down the strait that they have over there, which blocks it's not as important as the Strait of Hormuz, but it is important. And remember, we had to send all of our ships over there to try to free it up. And they were attacking our ships, and it was a whole thing. And they haven't even started yet.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's a terrible situation to be in, And Iran has come out and now said, now that they've defeated the Iron Dome, basically, now that they've done that, they say they're only gonna drop bombs that are 3 times bigger than the fabs that Russia's dropping on Ukraine. So when Russia wants to do, they got an enemy entrenched in I don't know, some factory or something, this is abandoned and they got their soldiers, they drop these 500 kilogram fabs,
Okay.
And it's just it's kind of like our JDAMs, JDAMs, is that the right one? Yeah, the gravity bombs, and blow up the factory or whatever. And then so they're doing 1,500 kilograms only.
Okay.
And to see these things maneuvering, I didn't bring a video of it, but they're really maneuverable. And the ones that are coming at we talked about them, remember the advanced ones that are coming Mach 5, Mach 6, but they're maneuvering. And so they leave like a dragon's tail thing in the sky. They're maneuvering so much. It's just wild.
Yeah.
And so now they're just going to go for big targets,
Okay.
And
so the missiles and all that are still coming from Iran.
Missiles are still coming from Iran. Let me tell you an interesting story that puts together something that we didn't put together. Do you remember how the Shahed drones were the little ones, the little guided ones,
Yeah.
And we were like, why are they hitting? Why are they hitting? Do you want to hear the story behind that?
Yeah.
Okay, listen. So they took them apart. They realized in the 12-day war, they suck.
Oh.
They were using them as fodder. Remember, they would shoot like 100 of them, and then the hypersonics would come in. You would just see them floating in. You see, rah, you know what I mean, with the hypersonic. So now they changed their whole strategy, okay? You know what? Don't make them metal. They took out all the metal. They're making them out of balsa wood.
Wow.
They're putting the anti-radar paint on them, right? And instead of having like some type of rocket engine, they're putting a 550cc motorcycle engine into it. So you can't pick it up on the radar. That's why in this war, when you hear them, remember when they were hitting the Fifth Fleet? You hear the, it's a lawnmower. It's out there lawnmowing it. Do you know what I'm saying? And so you can hear it, you can see it, but the radar's not picking it up as effectively.
Amazing.
Still can pick up some, still can intercept some.
Yeah.
But that's why they've had such a high success rate. Because remember, initially I was like, are we letting them hit us?
Yeah.
Because this is so easy. No. They've gone low tech, which is interesting. I just keep going off on tangents. But look, they did the war games years ago, and they said, what would happen if we had tried to invade, and they said we would lose like 30,000 troops or something, but this is a ground invasion and stuff like that. But what they said is, because one side of our military was playing Iran and one side was playing us. And what the side of our military was playing Iran did is they went low tech immediately.
Oh.
They stopped. I mean, they were like, okay, we're going to send a message to this other unit to tell them what to do. Okay, send the guy on the motorbike with a piece of paper. You know what I mean?
Like a courier, yeah.
Like a courier. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, are you going to blow up just a random dude on a motorcycle?
Yeah.
You could, and we probably would. Israel definitely would.
Definitely.
And then, okay, I want to talk about one more thing related to the war. Sorry,
Sure.
I just keep going. But like, look, the bombing of the girls' school that happened the first day. Okay, so it turned out it was 160 to 170 that died. It was reported like 60. Okay, and then basically what happened is, I'm sorry to laugh at this, but it's Trump. So he's in Air Force One. And, he's like stepping out of the door and Hegseth is behind him. And they asked Trump and they're like, hey, were we responsible for the bombing of the girls' school, And he's like, no, I don't think so. And they're like, well, who was responsible? And he's like, well, I mean, Iran. They're the only people who kill civilians.
Literally.
What? Are you kidding me? Do you know what I mean? And so, okay, but that's what he said. And then they asked Hegseth behind him, is that true? Is that true what he just said? And Hegseth is not, I mean, he's dumb, but he's not that dumb,
Okay.
And so he's like, well, it's under investigation. We'll get back to you, But we are investigating this heavily, okay? So remember how there was a Pentagon leaking before the war?
Yeah.
Well, there's Pentagon leaking during the war because this is atrocious,
Yeah.
So the Pentagon leaks the Tomahawk missile video from our Tomahawk, right? Hitting the girls' school. And this is where we're at. And so people on the ground said that 40 minutes later, we double tapped the school. So that's why the number went up. Basically, the story is we sent 4 Tomahawk missiles. It was basically like a child care place next to an IRGC facility. The IRGC facility, there's nobody in it because they knew it was a military target, but you're not going to target the girls, right? No, you are. So they hit once there. They hit twice there. The 4th one loitered. And then it saw all the movement there, and they said, hey, going down there, so let's double tap those little girls. Oh my gosh, Iran has made the best propaganda video. I'm gonna play it right here. I'm gonna find it and play it, and then I'll link it in later.
Okay.
And then I'm just going to tell you about it. This will be after, but basically it's a little girl getting ready for school in Iran, and mom's getting her ready. She's tying her shoes, and then the American soldier's tying his shoes, and she's walking down the thing, and he's walking to his plane. You know what I mean? And she's closing her backpack, and he's touching the missile. And then he's on the way, and then just blows up the school, and it's just her backpack left in the thing, and that's their propaganda. And it's like pretty freaking good.
Yeah,
it's pretty. But as Christians, you should probably support this.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I'm not saying it's representative of the entire war either, but it's like, again, it goes back to the principle is It's not too terrible that we killed the girls' school if you get under it. If you say, you know what? Trump says, I think we erroneously blew up that school. I'm investigating it, and I will find out who did it, and I will be serious about this if we did do it. And then you say, okay, well, I mean, Trump's not at fault for that. Surely he didn't call it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he gets down to it and then fires some people, or even just does something. You know?
Right.
Otherwise, you take the full brunt of it.
Yeah. If
that is the case. Anyways, and then there's also this story recently where they there was a refueling plane refueling a refueling plane. Apparently, I don't know how that works. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but basically there was an accident and the refueling plane went down, and the other plane landed with part of that other plane on it. So like it was refueling, you know, and 4 out of 6 airmen on there died
on the refueling plane.
On our refueling plane, yeah. But there's also this story that they that Iran could have shot it down because it was in Western Iraq, because they have these missiles. I forget the exact name. It was like the 358s or something. But they had named this missile because they had created this missile because they had basically used it as a prototype to shoot down a CIA plane way back in the day, and they killed some CIA dude.
Oh, okay.
So they named it after the tail number of that plane, and now they're on the next model. And the next model, you could just launch it up there, and it loiters just like a cruise missile.
Oh, okay.
And it will just be loitering. It's got low detectability, this and that, and it's just looking for a target, which is how they've been shooting down some of our drones and stuff. But a refueling plane is a good target because we're having to refuel these planes to do these sorties so that we can keep the planes far enough away.
Yeah.
And they also blew up 4 of our refueling planes on the ground with a drone,
wow.
which is interesting too, because they're not trying to target us directly, but getting refueling planes is a good way.
Yeah.
Because then again, we would have to move in.
It's logistics. Yeah.
Right. Like the transitioning munitions, make them have to move in closer.
Yep.
And I'm still insistent that they do have naval ballistic missiles.
Okay.
We haven't used them yet, but we knew they had them. We could have destroyed them all because Trump says we've destroyed 100% of their capabilities, military capabilities. You know.
Where's the was it the 5th Fleet?
Yeah.
Is that on station yet? Like
they're there, yeah.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Yeah. And we got a 3rd aircraft carrier coming there. I can't remember the name of that one. It's another president. And France has an aircraft carrier on the way too. They say to protect assets in the region, which I don't know if that's Strait of Hormuz or something like that.
Yeah.
But remember, they're also negotiating.
Right.
You know. And if you're not involved, kind of the easy way to do it is negotiating.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you've looked at fuel prices. Did you look at fuel prices today?
Yeah.
They're up.
They are up.
Yeah. And even I was yonder in the country this week, and I was at some places where it gets really low, and it was over $1 higher. You know,
okay.
Over, and it's just going to go up. And like they're releasing the strategic oil reserves in the United States and in Europe, hundreds of millions of barrels, in order to keep the price down. And then Iran's response to that was blow up a bunch of tankers.
Okay.
And so they're bleeding us because we're going to do this desperate thing to try to save face to the American people for like Trump to keep the oil prices down. Then our strategic reserve is going to be low. Then the oil price is going to shoot up. Now we got a low strategic oil reserve. What is the strategic oil reserve for?
I guess for the military. Strategic
uses. Yeah. Right. It's not to, and I know Biden did it successfully where he artificially kept the price down, you know, and you could use it for that. Or you could say you're in a war and let the price of oil go up. But he can't do that because it's probably going to be over tomorrow. By the time you watch this, it'll probably be over. Anyways, what do you think about this?
I was just thinking about what you said. Why release the oil if the war's over? You know, if you
that makes sense. If you don't think it's going to be prolonged, you wouldn't release it.
Then, yeah.
And getting together with Europe and getting them to release it, you're got to be like, hey guys, really mess this one up. I feel like Trump's locked into a trap where he had the sugar high from Venezuela. It went really well, the operation, even though it's completely criminal and all that, you know, and I'm against it, and it's not MAGA and it's not America First. But like, it went so well, and he just planned for this to go so well.
Gotcha.
Even though all analysts say this is a terrible thing. Oh, you know what I was thinking about the other day? What about during his first term when he had John Bolton as his national security advisor, I believe? Something, I'll put it on the screen if I'm wrong with that. And then John Bolton was giving a speech probably to a bunch of tiny hats, right? And he was saying, this long we'll be in Tehran, you know, like this much amount of time, you know? And you looked at him back then, you were like, why does he have this crazy effort on his, and then Trump fired him, you know? Because we're trying to make America great. Look who's happy when you watch the news. All of the worst.
Yeah.
Like Lindsey Graham. Oh my gosh, one of the worst people, and he's just giddy.
Shows you what side you're on. Yeah.
Yeah, it shows you what side you're on. Yeah, because remember, he used to be a never Trumper.
Yep.
Because it's like if you want to drain the swamp and stuff like that, Lindsey Graham will be against you. He's swampy as swampy as Pelosi. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On the right and the left, there's a swamp everywhere. But here we are. Okay, that's what I got for you. Hey, I want to play a video for you. Okay.
Okay.
Now I can't play the audio on this because it basically plays to Fortunate Son by Creedence Clearwater Revival. You know, and so I can't play the audio. Okay, so here it is. I just found this on Twitter and I thought it was good. And I don't care if you don't care about the slogans and stuff like that, but it's kind of an interesting representation of what's going on.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, it's like even if you don't care about homeless people, like giving apartments to homeless people is a terrible idea.
Yeah,
fixing the conditions that made them homeless, whether it's a mental illness, drug addiction, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
that's better. But I mean, it's just. They're spending $1 billion a day is what they say. And I'll bet you the number is going to come out much higher than that.
Yeah.
In the end. And then it's like replacement of all these stocks and then the practicability of actually replacing them.
Oh, yeah.
Like how long will it take to, you know, and we've already promised Israel, you know what, tens of thousands of JDAMs and stuff like that while we're using them. Anyways, apparently it costs $1.25 million for a torpedo. Didn't know. And I don't know if these numbers are accurate, but it's somewhat of a representation.
Yeah.
And definitely a better world is possible than what we're doing with this administration.
Yep.
Anyways, that's what I got for you.
Okay. That's a good update. Lots of stuff going on.
Lots of stuff.
And
it's probably more than I forgot, but that's a lot of it. I'm trying to glean stuff that's not really, really commonly talking about like that. Like nobody's talking about the white phosphorus. I don't understand why.
Yeah. It's just interesting how if you just watch the White House news conferences, you have no idea what's going on. It's a whole different like imaginary world.
Right. And this is only possible because of like social media and stuff. Like if you didn't have Twitter and stuff like that, you would just be looking at them, Fox News, CNN, and you would be like, I mean, I guess Iran blew up that girls' school.
Yeah.
That's
all you have.
Yeah. They're 100% out of military capabilities right now.
The war's almost over.
That's why we got to send more fleets over there.
Yeah.
Because
release the gas.
And then,
fuel.
You know, maybe next week we'll be talking about the ground troops on the ground.
Yeah.
America. Okay, whatever. Okay, on Thursday, I want to talk about this third temple, which we've talked about before, but I got some stuff from a viewer, and I got some really interesting stuff that I found out.
Okay.
And so we'll talk about that Thursday.
Sounds good.
Okay, see you guys then.